Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the episode. Please do hit that subscribe button, of course, so you can keep up with the entire series. I do 3 new interviews every single week, new and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just like this. It's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover those new ones. You can grab us anywhere you get podcasts from, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, or of course, right here on YouTube for the video versions. Anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. That's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, legendary musician Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. They're heading out on a new tour. It's called the Destroy All Enemies Tour, along with Mudvayne and All That Remains. We're going to be talking about what separates these tours in his mind. I love that they still name the tours more than just the album name is what most people do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about how the lineups in the band changes the DNA, changes how they approach the set lists and the songs. And of course, we're going to be talking about their most recent record, came out just a couple years ago, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. In fact, tracks like Mission to Mars, one of my favorite tracks on it, playful little song. It's kind of playful. I think it was playful anyway. And in fact, he teases a little something that has to do with the whole mission to Mars. We'll also talk about his pop sensibilities. He doesn't seem to be afraid of a chorus, no matter how heavy the song is. And teaming up with Sammy Hagar to cover one of Sammy's songs, This Planet's on Fire, which finishes off the deluxe edition of the record. All that and more as we talk The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, and the Destroy All Enemies tour. It's Kyle Meredith with Dave Mustaine of Megadeth.
Hi, Kyle.
So you guys are going on the tour. I should mention that at first. Destroy All Enemies tour with Mudvayne and All That Remains. I appreciate that you're still naming tours. I feel like that's a little bit of a lost art out there with Destroy All Enemies. Is there I don't know, an appreciation or a science to that, a reason?
I don't know. I think it might be so we know what bus to get in at the truck stops.
That's like because a lot of people, I mean, that's like I said, a lot of people, they don't even name the tours anymore. They're on tour for the album or anything. And that's it because you all have the album's been out for a couple years now, and I guess each tour has their own name, even though it's under the same album. I'm not trying to make more of this than what it is, but when I hear you talk about like you're playing more songs than ever before, that's where I start to think, okay, so do you see a dividing line between these tours? Does the previous tour happen to be something different than what this one be in a different in a certain way?
The previous leg
Yeah, okay, the leg,
of
right? Yeah,
yeah, the previous leg of the tour, yes.
yeah. So what makes this different in your mind, if there is a big difference?
Well, obviously where you're playing, that's different. And then you get into the nitty gritty where you get the bands that are going to be playing with you and the way that the venue treats the fans that come in there. You could be at one place where the security are like a bunch of biker rock stars and they're having a good time, and then you go to another place and they're just a bunch of shriveled up meatheads that want to beat up the fans.
I mean, obviously, I would imagine you've got your people that kind of take care of that at this point in your career.
Well, we have a security meeting before we open the doors, and we pretty much tell them no roughhousing with the fans, and just be kind and polite to them, and let them know that if they come over, they've got 3 chances to come over, and because you see some of these really large guys come flying up against the barricade, and there's some younger fans there, and a lot of younger girls there too, and they've got 150 to 250 pound guy falling down on the back of their neck. People get hurt. So, we just try and consider everybody while we're there. We've got a really wise approach to our security too. We try and make sure that the security guys know everybody's there to have a good time. Don't get up on the barricade with your flashlight and try and get everybody off of people's shoulders, because this ain't your show, buddy, my show. And if I want someone up on shoulders, it'll be me doing an Angus Young impression.
Well, the shows are obviously legendary for a reason. I mean, what you guys have pulled off, over the course of your career. And
Thanks.
for you to have that line, and correct me if I did get that wrong, but you talking about how the state that you all are in, you are playing more shows or more songs than usual. Even brought back Kick the Chair recently. I mean, and I don't, is that like, is there a certain reason why you pick a song like that out specifically? I do notice that the system has failed as 20. Like, does that sort of play into it?
No, no, it just was a random song choice because it was a really heavy riff. And the band guys and myself, we talk about stuff to add in all the time. So this tour should have a bunch of new songs tossed in and out. It's just a matter of as soon as we're ready to do it. We didn't really have any reasons that we weren't changing the set list up in the past, other than, if a musician didn't want to play it, or if they couldn't, for example, me with my voice, or something else like, for example, we were using video, and video made it really difficult to mix the set list up on a whim. We had to really plan out everything. So foregoing the video has really been liberating for us.
And the voice too. I mean, I hear about that a lot. You've got Sammy Hagar on this album, doing the cover of his song "This Planet's on Fire." I remember talking with him, and we were
Right.
just talking like, as you get older, obviously your voice changes, whereas guitars don't change, drums don't change, and you have to take that into account. I asked him once if there were songs that now he regretted singing so high on. He was like, "Oh, absolutely. I still would have done it back then, but now I'm paying the price." Because you have to rewrite those. Like, do you go through those moments as well when you look at songs and you think that's a different person that was singing that? That's not me now.
Yeah, I love Sammy. He's a legend. So fun working with him. For me, my voice, just like anything else, is changing over time, and I just have to keep myself as best shape as I can be in, and make sure that when it's time to work, that I'm ready to work.
Well, onwards, I'm also looking at the other changes with Teemu on guitars the last couple of years. Um,
Right.
what's he brought that wasn't there before? If you're able to, define that.
God, Kyle, he's such an amazing talent. And as far as being a human is concerned, he's a really humble guy. He's fun to be around because he's kind of this greenness to him, if that's the word, greenness. Um, he makes it really fun because he's gone from being in a band that was pretty well known to being in Megadeth, and so everything's very new for him at this level. And for us, we get to kind of enjoy ourselves because we sometimes forget, where we're at, and then you see other people that wow, the bread is round, and so is the meat, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it just makes them really happy, and it just reminds you of how good you have it.
When you have lineup changes like that, and I feel like I'm going to ask an obvious question, I'm going to go ahead for it, but like, how much does that actually change the DNA of what we hear out in the audience?
Well, it depends on who the new player is. If they're willing to learn the parts, then the songs either um, uh, they stay where they are, or they get better.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when you have a new player, like when Teemu came in, he played everything identical to the original players. So he's been one of the best guitar players to step in and play somebody else's stuff. I don't know what his stuff's going to sound like yet, which I'm looking forward to finding out.
Say, so you guys haven't started writing together yet?
Well, we've been dissecting songs, which is kind of writing in reverse.
Mhm. And this new record, the latest record, I know it's, been out there for what, a couple years now, but the Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. It's such a cool record, and like a lot of the albums that you do, like there's this balance of the, whether it's topical or heavy subjects, and then there's these wink and nods that, come through it. I mean, opening with which I'm pretty sure is the Monty Python clip. And then a song like Mission to Mars, which is one of my favorites on this record. I really enjoy that song. But against everything else, I mean, that song feels really playful. if that's the right way to put it. I mean, do you think of it in that way?
Yeah, well, I guess because it's a little dramatic and it's kind of a storytelling bit. You know, when we had heard that Elon Musk was sending his car up into space, I got really interested in that. And in fact, we have something we're going to be announcing pretty soon that has to do with um, that car that went up there and space travel and neat shit. You know, we're not going to be the first band to play up in space. That's not what I'm aiming at. But you know, it's really neat to be involved in songs that predict the future. You know, I don't know if you saw in the news recently, they just had one of the rovers that were up on Mars just found some rocks that had sulfur inside of it,
Hmm.
which indicates some kind of a life form. So I don't know what that means, but I think it's exciting.
Yeah. No, I love it that we're all interested in that, or it seems like everyone's interested in that again, at least in my world.
Some
And
people are, yeah.
yeah, maybe that stuff comes in waves and everything, but and there's always been this thing, especially music. I've got Bowie over my shoulder, and of course, one of his early breakthroughs kind of led the way for my love of space and just keeping up with the stuff that you're talking about. It's but the relationship of space and music, like it seems like a big thing as well. Um, where did that come from for you?
Well, when I was very young, I had chosen some summer school classes. And the two classes I chose, this is my very first time going to summer school. I chose oceanography and astronomy. And I thought um, those would be cool. And I haven't given it any more thought until just a few years ago. You know,
Hmm.
50 years later, I think about it, however long it's been. But yeah, that was really interesting to me, the other worlds, because in a nutshell, here's this little kid, and he wants to look at a world underwater, a world in outer space,
Yeah.
anything except
Yeah.
for here.
Except for here, that escape moment. That
Yeah,
yeah.
goes back to the whole sells, but who's buying wine? If there's a new way, what are you looking for, Dave?
And I'm looking at the track list here. Deliver the goods. Like deliver the goods. It's heavy and it's catchy, which is not always an easy thing to do. And it's something that you've been able to pull off many times over. I even think back to like Trust or something like that, which is always, one of the most catchy, like heavy songs that I love. Do you like I'm gonna hit back on your past again here when I ask you this question. Like, where do your pop sensibilities come from? Because to be such a heavy artist, again, it's not easy to, it doesn't seem like you're afraid of a good hook.
It's not a Megadeth song.
But
Yeah,
I think the question still stands though. It's like even as I mentioned, with Trust. I mean, and there are many other songs. Like again, it doesn't seem
but
like
that
you.
one's mine.
It just doesn't seem like you're afraid of a good chorus every now and then.
Yeah, yeah. You got to. I mean, heavy metal music, it doesn't have to be all grunting and winking.
I think there's a quote in there somewhere.
Prob-
I did mention that Sammy also because I know that that cover finishes well, I don't know if it finishes off the record or it's bonus tracked on the record, however you look on that. But
Yeah,
it does sound like you guys are having a lot of fun. And that's one of those things, like right, like you're talking about the escapism and mission to Mars. Like This Planet's on Fire is a song that came out what, 79, 80, something around there. Like he was singing about those things then.
yeah.
Like is it on the album because it's topical now? Is it on the album because you just like the song?
Well, the band I was in before Metallica was a band called Panic,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you've ever heard anything about my origins, but it was a little band, and a lot of the originals that I took to Metallica were Panic songs. And a lot of the covers that we did were really obscure covers. This Planet's on Fire is one of the cover songs I did in Panic.
Oh, nice.
So I played that back in '76 when it came out, I think it was. And there's a lot of real cool songs, like Triumph had a song called Nature's Child. No one had ever heard it. Really rare song, but it was heavy as hell. And that's what I would do. I would just find real super duper heavy songs that were obscure, and that's how I started making my style. So that by the time I was ready to go meet up with my second band, that I'd already started to develop a really neat style for songwriting.
That's interesting. Now it starts to make a little bit more sense with all that. Did you and Sammy get to do that together in the studio, or was that a separate thing?
Yeah, he was in California, I think, and I'm back here in Tennessee, so we did our stuff separate. And he had done a little bit of guitar work on there, and then he sent that to us, and then we sent back our guitar stuff, and he said, "Don't use my stuff." You guys are smoking, so just use your stuff. And I was so honored because Sammy really is a great guitar player.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't get talked a lot about that. He's one of my favorite people to have on this show. Anytime he wants to come on, yes, that's always a yes. He's just what a great storyteller he is. Yeah, you guys, I mean, it's such a fun little moment on the record too. And I know I keep saying that. I mean, it's such a strong record. I'm always looking forward to hearing what you do next. You keep us on our toes. And again, to have been doing it as long as you have, and people are still talking about the new music. How rare is that, you know?
You gotta work hard at it in order to be timely and timeless. If not, you're just gonna be just one of those insignificant people that they're just here and then they're gone.
Right. Well, as the saying goes, keep on trucking, Dave. I hope you do. I don't think I've said that phrase in my entire life. Seriously, it's such an honor to get to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it today.
You're welcome, mate.
All right, we'll see you around. Take care.
Cheers. You too. Bye
Bye.
bye.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.